thanks everybody for attending today. I'm going to do a brief introduction of Intronis for those of you that don't know us, and then we'll get to the exciting content that Robin and her team have put together for us today. I'm going to start today with saying, as we start to think about the opportunity that exists today for cloud backup and recovery as MSPs, there's no one that I think of better for how to market and how to basically go about doing this than Robin Robbins. And today I'm really excited to be joined with her on this webinar and together hopefully present to you some very, very useful tidbits that you can use in your services business in marketing cloud backup and recovery. If there's one thing that you get from myself and Robin today, the opportunity to offer cloud backup and recovery solutions to small businesses is a great way for MSPs to create additional revenue. At Intronis, we deliver a solution that is built for MSPs that makes it easy to add cloud-based backup to your current MSP offering. We're 100% dedicated to the channel and do not sell direct. We have over 2,000 partners in North America and are protecting over 50,000 endpoints. At Intronis, we provide a solution that is partner brandable, secure, and easy to manage. With our management portal, we provide a single pane of glass view into the status of all your customers' backups to save you time. We understand that your customers expect you as the partner to make sure that the solution is secure and adheres to the current regulations that may exist, such as HIPAA or FINRA. If needed, our awesome technical support team is there to help in resolving any issues you may encounter in a timely manner. We have 3 highly secure data centers located across North America, including our new Canadian data center released this June in Montreal. Last month, we unveiled our spring release, which continues to enhance the Intronis solution. QuickSpin allows for business availability of VMware virtual machines. From our web management portal, a partner can log in and spin up an image at a customer site. The software also allows for hypervisor-level backups of VMware virtual machines. In addition to the new feature of our spring release, we continue to improve the integrations with the major PSA and RMM tools that you use to manage your business. Intronis also allows for our custom API to be used if you'd like to create your own integration. We back up Microsoft Exchange, SQLs, files, folders, system state, and have one of the best archiving and retention rules in the business. Intronis also has the capability to support hybrid backups for local and off-site within one application. As you'll see today, I'm no professional marketer, but I love demonstrations or at least examples for getting across the point of why cloud backup and recovery is so important to you, but then also to your customers. At Intronis, we have, as we said, over 2,000 partners in North America, and Hurricane Sandy really devastated the Northeast when it hit. We have a partner, F1 Networks, that had customers that went down. And with Intronis, they were able to get their customers back up and running by simply restoring their data to another site. We're excited to have F1 Networks as a partner of ours today. And when talking about small business backup and recovery, nothing goes it's the beginning of the webinar. Nothing goes better than actually giving an example of what could actually happen to someone's data if a natural disaster or a fire or theft of the computer was to happen. For more details, hit our website, intronis.com, and go to the news section, and you can read on how William at F1 Networks was able to resurrect their customers' small business. With that, we're going to switch over to the next deck, and I get the honor of introducing Robin. As many of you know, Robin Robbins is a household name when it comes to marketing technology solutions to small business. She's worked with many MSPs, many service companies to basically market in the IT industry. When I go on the road and I talk to many of our partners, they ask me, who do I use to market, or who would I recommend if they needed to basically figure out how to market their solutions that they have as a business today? And of course, the first person that comes out of my mind is Robin Robbins. Intronis is proud to work with her. We're excited. We've done many initiatives with her, with the sponsoring the BDR in a box and also working on the Ultimate Disaster Recovery Kit. She's won many awards, too many that I can't even list them in the 90-minute webinar. So without further ado, Robin, I'll hand it over to you, and we can get this party started.
Great. Okay, thank you, Neil. Hey, everybody, welcome. To kind of play on what Neil was just saying, I got an email, which actually I called this client, an email from a client not too long ago, and this client had a really big turnaround in their business, and I don't want to say their name just because of the nature of what I'm about to tell you, and that is they came to me, I'd say it was probably about 6 months ago, and they shared with me that they were massively struggling. The person who called me, the owner, had said that they had not taken a paycheck for at least the last 4 months, and they were really at rock bottom, having trouble, and said, look, I don't know what kind of marketing wizard you say you are, but, see if you can fix this. So what we did essentially is we retrenched into their existing client base and prospect base, and we started selling a BDR solution. And I'm happy to say that within a very short period of time, we were able to get their profitability up. And that is because out of all the services that you can sell, backup and disaster recovery is one of the most profitable things you can sell. And if it's positioned right, it's actually one of the easiest things to sell. And it's also a way that you can get into a lot of major accounts. And that's why the title of this webinar is what it is. I mean, this owner is now making money. They're profitable. And they needed that money right away. They weren't able to hire more technicians. They had lost a tech. They were just going through a troublesome time. So if you want to not only attract more clients, but also really key is to boost sales and add an extremely profitable recurring revenue stream to your managed services business, BDR really is something that you ought to look into selling. And so let's just dive in. Here's what I'm going to talk to you about today. I'm going to give you some recent research on cloud backup, disaster recovery, and I'm going to talk about why right now it's an extremely white-hot opportunity to acquire more new clients and add that easy recurring revenue stream to your service business, which, by the way, grows automatically because clients are always creating more data. It doesn't ever shrink. It gets bigger all the time. How to use backup disaster recovery solutions to win new clients away from competitors, even if your price is higher. And I've seen this done over and over again. I'm very confident that if you have a properly positioned backup disaster recovery solution, this can be the wedge that gets you into not only bigger accounts, but it can also win accounts away from competitors. I'm also going to talk about what type of marketing works best for selling BDR solutions and the 3 components that go into that. And by the way, this type of marketing works best for selling IT solutions or outsourced IT in general. So I'm going to craft it more towards BDR, but just know that you can use this for selling any kind of outsourced IT. And multiple real-life marketing examples from other MSPs that I'm going to show you what they did and how they did it, and these are strategies they've used to close $30,000 to over $200,000 in sales with one campaign. I'm not talking about over a year. I'm talking about with one campaign we're able to generate those sales, and I'm going to show you those what those campaigns are. And if you hang on to the end with me, I have a download for all of you I'm going to give you for free, and you don't have to buy anything, and you don't have to opt in. You don't have to give me your email. I'm just going to give you a web page you can go to download this. And it was about, I think, a year and a half ago, I interviewed 3 of Intronis' top clients on how they were selling BDR, how they were overcoming price objections, building value, that sort of thing. And they spilled the beans. It was actually a contest we were running. And that's the interview I'm going to give you. There's some tremendously valuable information on that. And hang on with me to the end. I'll give you instructions on how to get that. And again, you don't have to buy anything. You don't have to opt in. I'll just give you that URL. And yes, I am doing that to try and keep you to hang on until the end. And if you can't, then just email my office, and we'll if you're nice and you're cool and you're not a geek, we will send you that URL. Anyway, so onward. Who the heck is Robin Robbins? Why should you listen to a single word I have to say? I know we've got quite a few people on this webinar. I know a number of you have never heard me speak before. You don't know who I am. So really brief, I've spent a decade creating, refining, and developing client attraction marketing systems specifically for small to medium MSPs, VARs, and IT consultants. And so that has been my entire focus for the last decade of my life. I've worked with Intronis as their go-to marketing expert for the past 3 years. I've gone up to their offices. I've talked to their top clients. I've talked to their clients that are doing multiple millions of dollars in sales, and well, how are they doing it? So, really have been feet on the street, not an ivory tower consultant on this stuff, but really working with a number of MSPs for packaging, pricing, selling, marketing, BDR solutions. We have 5,000 clients that are all over the world. We have clients that are brand new startups I've got several clients that are in the $6 million, $12 million, $20 million a year range. And the marketing campaigns I'm going to give you today, folks, will work for you regardless if you are a seasoned MSP and you've got multiple millions or if you're a brand new startup. Now, how you approach it might be a little bit different. It depends more on your niche. But the campaigns I'm going to share with you will work. And I don't want you to think just because you're itty-bitty and you're a startup that, oh, I couldn't work with Robin, because that's not true. I've worked with a lot of clients that way. And like I said, I've got several private clients now that are in the $10 to $20 million a year range. And the thing I'm most proud of is that I have more documented client success stories than any other marketing consultant in this industry, period. If you go to my website, we've got audio, we've got video, we've got documented client success stories. And I don't share that with you to brag, because who cares? But I share that with you because if I'm going to stand here today and I'm going to tell you this is what you need to do to market your business, I think I owe it to you to say, look, I'm not just telling you my opinion. I'm not just saying here's what I think or theory. It is really based on in-the-trenches research testing for a decade of working with your peers. And, folks, this stuff works. You can't argue that any more than you can argue flight at this point. So I'll give you just a quick overview of results that my clients achieve. This is the average increases for all the candidates in a contest I run every year called the Better Your Best Competition. And the reason I give you these stats is because when my clients that enter this particular contest, when they give me their numbers, they actually have to sign a legal document stating that the numbers they're reporting to me are absolutely true and accurate. So I can trust these numbers. And this is a sampling of my client base. It's not every single client I have. Like I said, I've got 5,000, and trying to get that document signed by 5,000 would be like, I don't know, it would be an impossibility. But this is the average increases for all those candidates in the Better Your Best competition for the past 3 years. You can see that the general average increase in sales is 100%, 102%. Profits 335%, 81% increase in recurring revenue, and a 382% increase in the number of clients that they have on a managed recurring revenue contract. Typically managed services, and typically they're rolling in some sort of backup solution along with that. So we're going to go ahead and dive in. Hopefully that gives you enough on my background to maybe trust me for the next 90 minutes of this webinar to sort of check your skepticisms at the door, if you will. Like I always say, they'll be there for you to pick up on your way out. And I really want to kind of talk about sort of strategy around this and talk to you as an entrepreneur, because if I'm saying to you, you need to focus on BDR and focusing more of your time, your marketing dollars and effort on selling that, why should you do that? And I've got some really good information and research I want to share with you to talk about why that is. Whenever you're looking at a business opportunity, and managed services is a business opportunity. Selling cloud or cloud computing, whether that's hosted servers or virtualizing an entire office or whatever your cloud solution is, or backup, or even hardware, or anything that you sell is a business opportunity. And when you're evaluating as an entrepreneur, as a leader of your business, what should I focus my time and attention on to make sure I get the biggest bang for the buck, to make sure I'm focusing on the right things? There's 4 things you want to look for. Number 1, you want to look for an upward trend in growth and market demand. There is no point in putting a lot of money and effort into, let's say if I was selling payphones. You could make the best quality payphone, you could have the best quality of service, you could be number 1 in your category, but obviously we know that there is a declining demand, in the United States at least, for payphones. So the last thing you'd want to do is get into that business model or add that on, because it's a declining business model. No matter how great you are, you're not going to sell a whole lot. The business is going to go away. But if you look at backup, there is definitely an upward trend in more and more people backing up their data, number 1, just in general. Number 2, using off-site backup. There is a clear trend there. The second thing you want to look for is a recurring revenue element. I think it was John Paul DeJora. Now, John Paul, actually, I don't know if you're familiar, he started Paul Mitchell Hair Care Products, which is a $1 billion company. And then he also created, he's the creator behind Patron Tequila. Now, this is a very sharp guy. He's an entrepreneur, and one of the most profound things I ever heard him say was, someone asked him, what's the key to being successful in business? And he said, make make the best quality product possible, and make it so that it is a consumable product. That way you are in the reselling business, not in the selling business. And that was so profound, because if you think about BDR, that's really what it is. It's a recurring revenue element, just like a consumable like hair care products or Patron. I mean, you drink it and it's gone. You got to continually consume it or buy it. That creates market demand, and if it's a really good quality product, you're going to make a lot of money. And so that's the recurring element of BDR is what makes it so attractive. The third thing I would look for, especially in this industry, is a low overhead and something that's high profits, especially get into service business. If you start selling managed services or projects or whatever it is, that's great. I'm not saying don't sell those things. But you know, and I know, that it requires a highly skilled team of people to complete those projects. And overhead walks on two legs, folks. If you've ever had to make a payroll, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So in your business, you want to look for things that you can sell that do not require a very expensive staff person or team to execute it, because obviously the more expensive they are, the more you have to charge, and even then there's a price break point where clients just aren't going to pay for it. With backup, you can sort of, not entirely, but set it and sort of forget it, meaning that you don't need to, like managed services requires patching and management and monitoring and help desk support, which requires a lot of team effort. If you look at the hours and billable hours you are putting into backup, you're going to see that it's very little. So it's a very simple, low overhead thing you can add on and sell, and there's incredible stickiness to it, which is the fourth thing you want to look for whenever you're evaluating any kind of business opportunity, and obviously BDR meets them all. And if you look at this IDC market analysis forecast, they have reported a 43.3% increase in dollars spent in 2011 over the previous year. So some of these reports are a little bit behind because it takes them a couple years to do the analysis and catch up. But that is a massive growth rate. And I could tell you that the economy isn't growing at that rate. I could tell you that most business sectors are not growing that rapidly year upon year, but backup is. There's an article also out on Search IT Channel, and there's a really good quote in here. It's the article is Data Protection Services Market Outlook for Solution Providers. And it's got research in here that's backing up everything I'm saying. But one of the guys that was interviewed in there from Offsite Data Sync, which is a managed service provider, he said, without any new customer growth, we have seen a 30% increase in business growth just based on the growing volume of data that our customers want backed up. So again, it is an automatic profit center for your business. There is also a chart that was tied to this where you can see the research that they've done in polling, or are you currently using a cloud service for any of these backup applications? And the use of cloud backup more than doubles in 4 years, as you can see. And the current users have an average of 11 terabyte in the cloud. So this is really, again, a massively growing opportunity, especially as you probably have heard some talk about big data, and that's because a lot of these organizations, even my own, we're compiling and gathering more and more data, and we need to back it up. Gartner reports that fewer than 10% of small, medium businesses have a business recovery plan in place. Huge opportunity there. And many of you might even know Paul Dipple of Service Leadership. He had a report that he put out, and I found this really interesting because Paul's company, in case you're not familiar with it, Paul's company actually does a large research on managed service providers in their numbers and their profitability. And so he's very, very well versed in what best practices are and averages are for profitability and sales and growth. And in a report he did, he said the MSPs that have the highest financial performance, which he's talking about profits, right, are also the most operationally mature. As an MSP becomes more operationally mature, it drives higher gross margins in its backup and recovery business, which in turn drives overall financial performance. Translated into English, what that means is as managed service providers grow, the thing that is putting the money to the bottom line is the backup. The managed services, you have to sell that because most people they don't want to just outsource one piece. They want their entire network managed. But the thing that puts the dollars to the bottom line is the backup solution. So why should you focus on selling BDR? Again, backup is easier to sell than most IT services. It's viewed as a necessity. Now, you might say, well, I got cheapskate business owners, and they just will not spend money on backup. And the reality is they will. Now, an uneducated prospect who doesn't know the difference between why you're charging $1 a gig and somebody like Carbonite's just charging, pennies, they don't know the difference. Of course, they're going to go with the cheaper option. That is a failure on the business, whoever is competing against the Carbonites and the cheap backups. That's a failure on your side to communicate the difference. Because, of course, if just like all of you, if you were out to buy a car and one dealer had a car and it was $50,000 and the same car was on a lot down the road for $30,000 and they look like the same car and you couldn't tell the difference, well, of course you're going to buy the cheaper one, because you'd say, well, I don't know the difference. So, of course, you'd buy on price. So you got to understand that backup is actually easier to sell if it's positioned properly, which we're going to talk about in this webinar. It's also relatively easy to manage and deliver. It feeds you profits for years, and it naturally increases over time. You don't even have to go back and up the contract or anything like that. You just charge for the backup itself, and it's going to naturally grow over time. The third thing is it really serves and helps your customers. I mean, if that's important to you, and I hope it is, that you're actually selling something that truly helps your customers, you can feel good because you're actually selling them something that really serves and helps them. And it's an excellent way to get in the door with new clients. Often the number one area that I see that is messed up on a client network when my clients are going into market to a new account is the backups. And if you as an MSP can go in and show the business owner that their backups weren't working or haven't been working, they're going to be furious, and they're going to fire their IT person. So it's a tremendously powerful wedge. Now, I also did a BDR survey. Thought some of you would be interested. And I polled, I'm trying to remember how many. It was, I want to say I know it was over 1,000 managed service providers about BDR. And I asked them, I said, do you think you could use backup as a means for getting in the door? And as you can see, 73% said yes, definitely. Only 7% said they didn't think they could, or 20% weren't sure. And I can tell you that I throw in with the 73%. I think this other smaller percentage is just because they didn't know how to market it properly. But you can clearly see it is an entree into new accounts. I also asked the question, do you insist that a client use your recommended backup solution? Now, this one surprised me. 60% of the MSPs we polled said no, they don't. And I'm going to tell you why that is horribly shocking, and why if you don't insist, hopefully I'm going to change your mind that you do insist, with your clients. And then I asked, what percentage of your clients do you currently have on your recommended backup or service or solution? A lot of MSPs have multiple options to offer clients. And, only 24% said they had over 70%, which, again, was very concerning for me. Because here's the problem with this, and it's also the opportunity for you guys, by the way, and that is business owners don't know what they don't know, okay? So when they say no to a backup solution, or they say no to something, it's really sometimes largely out of ignorance. They really think, oh, nothing bad's ever going to happen to me, or the Carbonite backup I have is sufficient, or they're basically going on misinformation. Now, some people are just cheap, and that's just the way they are, and they're but it's a small percentage. The rest, I think, are really operating on gross ignorance, and most MSPs are horribly pathetic about marketing and communication, so they're not communicating the value or the importance. They're horrible at selling on value, and they're horrible at educating their clients. They really kind of don't do it. They don't do free reports and webinars, or when they're having that dialogue, they just don't know how to communicate it. And because most IT consultants don't effectively communicate why a client needs to invest in a better backup than, say, like a Carbonite or an on-site like hard disk or tapes or whatever, not only do you lose that opportunity, but I think you really fail to serve the client. I'll tell you something interesting I heard the other day. I was at a conference of my peers, marketing peers, and there was a gentleman there in the room who was an oral surgeon, and he's actually a consultant to other oral surgeons, and he shared a pretty shocking statistic, and he said that something like 98% of all dental cases are under underdiagnosed. And the reason they're underdiagnosed is because the doctor feels that the patient won't pay for a certain procedure and therefore doesn't even bother recommending it. That shocked me. And so essentially I think that could be a lot true in the IT industry, meaning that if we looked at most computer networks that are out there, a lot of businesses are being horribly underdiagnosed or misdiagnosed. What I mean is they really don't have good security in place. They really don't have a good backup in place. They're really not operating at optimal security or performance. And a lot of that, I think, is just because the IT consultants out there aren't properly educating their clients about it. They might think that, a client would never pay for it. And so they really don't try and insist that clients buy those things. And here's the biggest problem of it all. When disaster strikes, you get the blame. Because you all know that if you go to a client and you say, really, I think you ought to have this cloud backup, it's better for you, it's this, that, and they go, no, you know what, we're just fine. And you go, okay, I told you. Now think about this. 6 months from then, something happens, they lose files, their server goes down, and you go back to them and you say, you have to have that conversation about, well, Mr. Customer, it's going to take us 2-3 days to get the files back. It's going to take us time to rebuild the server, and that business owner is now furious. And you're saying, well, I told you so. Now, first off, that's never a good conversation to have with a client, especially when they're really pissed off and angry about something, right? I mean, that's the last thing they want to hear. And they are not going to remember the conversation that you had where you said to them, you really need to be on a better backup. They're going to blame you because they're going to turn to you when problems strike, right? And if you agree with me, I mean, post stuff in the comments. I'd really like this to be interactive, and I'd really like to hear from you what your opinions are on this and what your questions are. So the question really is for you is, how do you use BDR as a way to attract new and profitable clients? How do you eliminate those price objections that you're all going to run into? And where do we start if we're going to start marketing these BDR solutions? So the first thing I want to tackle is 3 reasons why you're getting shopped on price and you're losing opportunities and failing to secure more new clients, right? Because I want to tackle this first because this seems like the biggest bugaboo, the biggest speed bump in the process for a lot of you. And so let's tackle that first. So the first fact, if you will, is you got to understand in the IT world, especially when we're talking about backup, and remember, your clients aren't just hearing from you when they're talking about backup. There's other MSPs out there, and they are getting marketed to by all these other online backup providers. I mean, just go to Google and do a search and see how many options and advertisers come up if you type in the word backup or off-site backup or cloud backup. And the problem is there's a massive amount of what I call apparent sameness. Now, I'm not saying that you and Carbonite are the same, but to the prospect, to the customer, there is a lot of apparent sameness. And the problem is you know the difference. You're a victim of your own education. You know more than, so you think other people know the same thing. They don't, okay? And the reality is no one knows how good you are until after the sale. So before they buy, they only know how good your marketing is. So they are buying based on price because they don't know the difference, okay? So think about this. When given no meaningful way to differentiate the value of one service over another, what do all prospects revert to making their decision on? And you guys know the answer. It's price. When given no meaningful way to differentiate, that's the key here, all right? So if you are getting shopped on price frequently, it is because you are not giving the prospects a meaningful way to differentiate you from the cheaper provider, okay? So you got to know that, right? And somebody just posted, and Jerry just posted, agreed, we always get blamed for everything. And that's true. You know it? So if you're going to get blamed, you might as well make sure that those clients use the tools that you recommend so at least you can do your job properly. You know what I mean? If it's like if I go to the doctor and I need surgery done, I say, no, but doc, I don't want to, I don't want you to be in your operating room. I don't want you to use this tool. I want you to use these operating tools that I picked up at Walmart because they're cheaper and stuff like that. The doctor's not even going to take me as a patient. I mean, that's crazy because the doctor is now going to be responsible for my life. And, of course, he's going to use or she's going to use the tools that they want to use. I mean, so think about it that way. Of course, you've got to demand this. But part of it is educating the client. So if we look at how do most backup services market themselves, all right, look at this. I just went online and pulled some ads, I mean, just random. I didn't even spend more than 3 minutes, okay? My PC backup, and I just randomly, you can see right here, it says free online backup, okay? So people are seeing this. Carbonite, you can get deals all day long. Look at this. It's save up to 70% online, unlimited hassle-free online backup for one PC or Mac, multiple encryption points, blah, 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 all the stuff. 1 year unlimited for $53.99. I mean, cheap, right? Don't ever lose your data. Protect your financial information. Sign up now. 5 gigabytes for free, okay? That's some iDrive. I don't even know half these. Barracuda. Avoid data loss. Save money, okay? Again, free 30-day trial. So you're seeing all this free, free, free. Mosey Pro. Mosey Pro online backup plans start at just $10 a month. Sign up now. Okay, so you're seeing that everybody here, whoops, I went a little too fast, is they're all bringing the price war on themselves. It's like insurance companies. All insurance companies ever advertise is we're going to save you money. Well, if that's everybody's advertising that and everybody's saying it, first of all, the marketplace goes numb to it, so they think they're all a bunch of hucksters, right? Second of all, it now becomes a price war. And the insurance industry has done itself a massive, especially auto insurance, has done itself a massive disservice by them all trying to undercut each other to the bottom line and advertising that. And none of them advertise about service or what you're really getting with an insurance policy or any of those things, right? So, you know, you've got to realize that this is what your customers are constantly being barraged with. Fact number 2, a prospect or client cannot value or appreciate what they don't understand. All right? So again, it's not just saying, oh, don't buy on price because they're no good. You've got to help them understand. And I want to tell you guys a story, true story. So I was in a seminar, and that we're going back, this got to be about 12, 13 years ago. And in the seminar, there was a mixed bag of people. So there was all different, it wasn't just IT. This is before I was really, truly in this niche. So we did have some IT people there, but it was, you know, mixed bag. One of the guys in the room was a dry cleaner, and we were talking about this very topic, differentiation, building value, and that sort of thing. And his lament was this. He said, look, I hear what you're saying. I understand that you got to buy, differentiate and everything else, but I don't care what you say, Robin. People just buy dry cleaning based on price. That's just the way it is. And he says, case in point, we have a dry cleaner that opened up right down the block, same side of the street, just a block down, and they have a big sign out in front that says dry cleaning dress shirts $1. And he says, we have lost a ton of business to those people, and no matter what we do in marketing, we're not able to get them back because that's what people are buying on price. And he was really kind of frustrated, I could tell. So I got to talking to him a little bit, and I said, all right, well, talk to me about this. So you got this dry cleaner, number 1, which is the guy who was in the room. He charges $5 per shirt to clean a shirt, okay? Now, right down the road, same side of the street, is another dry cleaner that charges $1 per shirt. Now, I'm going to ask you this. Which one, I assume most of you on this call buy dry cleaning in some way. So if that were the case, 2 dry cleaners side by side, one's charging $5, the other's charging $1, and let's say their service is comparable, meaning, when you go in, they're polite and they don't screw things up. I mean, they do basically the same job, apparently. Which one would you choose? Okay? Now, most of you would say, well, I'm going to choose the $1 shirt guy because if I don't know any different and there's no difference in convenience or service or anything else, I mean, why would I spend $5 to get a shirt done when I can get it done for $1, right? Now, I went on to ask him, well, why do you charge $5 a shirt? Why don't you just charge $1 a shirt? And so let me tell you what he said. So dry cleaner number 1 that charged $5 per shirt said the reason they do it is because they, 2 things. Number 1, all the laundry is done on site. Second of all, he said we wash each client's batch of laundry in its own water and solvents in its own batch. We do not group batch the clothes. And I said, what do you mean group batch? He says, well, dry cleaner number 1 for the $1 per shirt, the reason they can do that is because they just put everybody in a massively big machine or however they do it, and they clean everybody's clothes in the same solvents and the same dirty funk as everybody else. Now, when he told me that, let me ask you this. Now, which one would you choose if you knew that difference? And I'm looking here to see if anybody's commenting on this. But so the reality is, if you knew you could pay, of course you're going to pay the $5 one. Because, I mean, maybe if you're really cheap, you go down to the dollar. But if you knew your clothes are being washed in everybody else's funk and dirt and filth, I mean, I would never, that grossed me out to no end. I didn't know that. But he explained that to the audience. Everybody was like, we'd all pay $5 per shirt. So the key there was getting a campaign together where we actually educated clients about why do we charge $5 a shirt. So the same thing with backup, exact same thing with backup. So let's look at how a lot of MSPs market themselves. Now, this is a site from a client of mine. This is Scott Spiro. He's out in L.A., very competitive market out in L.A., and this was his website before this was his website before we actually messed anything or changed anything or did whatever. So keep your data safe and secure, what we offer, about us. I mean, it's clean, it's professional. There's nothing really exciting about it, but that's what it is. Now, here's what we got to do. You got to put yourself in the client's position. If you're going to market to a customer to get them to spend money with you, you got to think about when they come to your website, what are they thinking about? What are the questions? What are they looking for? Okay, so let me give you some insights to this, because actually I've done quite a bit of research on online searches. I actually I won't bore you guys with the details, but I'm working with a number of clients on Google AdWords, and we literally look at their click path. We know what keywords they're searching on. We listen to the phone calls coming in to the offices. So I can tell you, here's what your customers are looking, or prospects are looking for when they hit your site. The first thing they're trying to figure out is this for me? So I'm a business owner and I'm looking for backup, and I hit Scott Spiro's site. I'm trying to figure out, do they understand my business? Are they too big of a company for me? Do they service companies my size? Or maybe the opposite? Are these guys too small? We're a big company. We're looking for somebody who can handle what we have, or we're an attorney's office, or we're a doctor's office, and we have certain compliance regulations. Can they solve the problems? So what they're trying to figure out, like many of you would be trying to figure out, is, can this company help me with the specific problems I have? The second thing they all want to know is, what's it going to cost? I mean, if you listen to calls coming into your office, it's probably the number one question that a new prospect's going to ask you, because, again, they don't know what else to evaluate you on. And they're also going to think about, can I trust these guys to give me the right advice? Because just like any of us, when we're buying something and we're not a savvy buyer of the thing that we're buying, if you're buying a new roof, if you're buying plumbing having to be done, like right now I'm having my deck redone. We had to hire somebody to do that. I mean, it's a big project, and if it's not done right, it's going to cost you thousands of dollars, and the aggravation of hiring the wrong person and the frustration and everything else. So that's what your prospects are thinking about, and they're coming to this site. Now, let me ask you, and I'd love for you guys to kind of comment on this, okay? What does this site, or does your website, answer these questions? And by the way, Neil, are there any? Am I missing any questions?
There was one, Robin. I mean, we can address it now, or you can choose to do it later. You know, one of the people commented where he's having more trouble creating a sense of urgency than actually selling over price. Okay, well, we'll address that too. Now, let me keep going. I think I'll address that later. Okay. Absolutely. So the thing is, this is what you got to ask these three questions. This is what your prospect's thinking when they come to your website. Do you give them the answers so that they go, yes, I want to pick up the phone and call this company, or do they search around and then go away trying to find something more relevant? Okay, that's the question. So I could tell you, epic fail, guys. That website was an epic fail. It wasn't generating any leads. There was nothing measurable. We weren't getting anything from it. And if your website's doing the same, we got to fix it, because look, even referrals aren't blind, deaf, and dumb. You get a referral, the first thing they're going to do is go to your website, okay? And so they've got to see, does this make sense for me? Is this the company I'm looking for? So let me show you what we did with Scott's site. This is his new one. And actually, we're testing some things. So if you go to a site, you might see something slightly different. But I'll just give you the general rundown of what we did. We added client testimonials, both written and video. If you go to a site, you'll see that. Very conversational copy. We put a picture of Scott instead of stock photos. We're actually going to group photos with him and his team.
The headline matches what the prospects are thinking. So we have, are you searching online for a computer consultant because your company's network is running slow, acting crazy, and you can't depend on your current solution? So we're tweaking that a bit now. We're getting even better results. But from this website change, he's now approximately getting 5 brand new leads per month, up from 0 leads before. Now think about this. Your website costs you the same in hosting. Your website costs you the same in design, whether it produces 1 lead or 100 leads. There's no extra cost in this. And so what this basically told us is Scott's old site was repelling prospects. Right now, you can imagine he's like banging his head against the wall going, man, I should have done this sooner. So, again, we've aligned, we've answered questions, and we've given them a reason to call. If you see, there's the 2 free hour service visit. Okay, so key question you need to ask yourself, is your marketing, meaning your website, your sales presentation, other marketing communications, giving clients useful information they need to make a good decision when choosing a backup solution or for any IT services for that matter, okay? And if it's not, again, we got to go about fixing it. I showed you just now. Question number 2, if I was your ideal client, your slam dunk client, the one you want, and if I was in the market to buy IT services in your city, would I think of you first? Would I think of you second? Would I even know you exist? Okay? Now, again, customers can't buy what they don't even know exists. So if you're sitting here going, well, I want more new prospects, I'll give you a great quote from Richard Branson. I actually had lunch with Richard Branson a couple of years ago, and I was at a charity event that he funds for Virgin Unites, a big charity of his. Actually, his mother is very, really kind of heads up that charity. And it was a quote from his mother, and it was great. And she calls Richard Branson Ricky. That's her nickname for him. She said, Ricky, if you want milk, you can't sit in the middle of a cow pasture and wait for a cow to back up to you. And there is so much profound wisdom in that statement, meaning that if you want new customers, you can't just sit in the middle of a cow field and just wait for these customers. Hey, where are they going to come from? You got to actually have a good message. You got to go out there and get them. So let's keep moving on. Fact number 3, in order to sell someone a cure, you have to help them realize they have a disease. Now, this goes to the urgency issue. If I go to the doctor and the doctor says, your cholesterol is a little bit high. You ought to watch that. You probably need to exercise a little more. Watch your diet. I could put you on some medication. I might be like, yeah, okay, doc, that's great, but, I don't like exercise, and I don't want to diet or whatever. There's not a lot of urgency. Now, if I go to the doctor and all of a sudden the doctor says to me, you're about to have a heart attack. Your age is getting up there. This is going to progressively get worse. You could die. I mean, he gives me that kind of news. Now, all of a sudden, I'm listening. Because I just raised the urgency. So in order to sell someone a cure, you have to help them realize they have a disease in the first place. And again, if you're not able to get someone to buy, again, you've not properly built the dissatisfaction. Here's something for that person who asked that question. Someone asked the question of, how do I get someone to buy, all right? An undisturbed prospect will never buy. Let me say that again. An undisturbed prospect will never buy. If they do not, I don't know you. I don't know. I'd have to see your presentation. I'd have to see what you're doing and everything else. But in some way, shape, or form, you are not making them feel there is urgency in the situation they're in. They don't feel like they're in danger. They don't feel like they're in trouble. And so that is part of what your marketing needs to do. Now, I'm not talking about fear-mongering. Nothing like that. But you've got to make sure clients really fully understand the consequences of their decisions. So here's a reality about selling backup. Most business owners don't know what they don't know. They think backup does equal disaster recovery. They don't really know the difference between Carbonite and your solution unless you really explain it to them in a way that matters to them and that they understand, okay? Most business owners don't think that anything ever bad will happen to them because they've never had any epic failures or disasters, and prevention is one of the hardest things to sell. Now, I'll just give you a little tidbit. One of my clients, Tim Conkle, I do a program with him on Google AdWords for managed service providers. And we were actually having this discussion in one of the classes. And he says, in order to sell backup, he says, I have the folder discussion. And we said, well, what's the folder discussion? And he says, well, whenever I got to a client, I always have like a, vanilla folder that I take out with me, with some stuff based on whatever. But he says, I always have that. And he says, if I see that they're using something like a carbonite, let's say, he says to him, Mr. Customer, how, you're using carbonite, I see here. I guess you can afford to be down for like 3 to 5 days without your data or access to your systems. And the owner say, oh no, that's absolutely, we couldn't be down that long. Absolutely not an option. He says, well, let me ask you something. He says, with carbonite, how long did it take you? And he draws on the folder a picture of the office, like a little house. He says, here's your house, and then he draws another kind of icon or something, like a box or something. So here's carbonite. How long did it take you to get all your data from your office to the carbonite server? And he says, often they don't know. They'll say, I really don't know. He says, well, let me tell you what it is on average. For data your size, it probably took about a week, or, he estimates it. And he says, so let me ask you a question. If your server went down, how long do you think it would take to get all the data off Carbonite back to your server? And all of a sudden the light bulb goes on to the owner, and he goes, 7 days. And he goes, you got it. And he says, and not only do we have to get the data back, but then we got to rebuild the server. We got to put it on there. And he says, your M drive that used to be your M drive is now your S drive, and you can't find anything because it's just, it's just data. And we got to reinstall the software, and we got to reconfigure everything. And that takes time. And they start freaking out at this point. So I'm giving you a very quick analogy, a very quick story, but really you need to be able to have that folder discussion with your prospects, even your customers, so they understand what's going on. So 3 things your marketing should accomplish in general. All right. First of all, it's got to cut through the clutter, distractions, and get your ideal prospect to pay attention, obviously, because if they're not paying attention to what you're sending them, it doesn't matter what you're sending them. You got to deliver a very well-crafted message that educates the prospect and pre-qualifies them and pre-sells them on your solution, and preferably using automated marketing systems. And I'm going to show you one in a moment here. Number 3, it's got to facilitate the sale. So for most of you on the webinar, when I say your marketing should facilitate the sale, for most of you, what you're trying to do is just get an appointment to go out and talk to that prospect. So the fastest, easiest, and most effective way to do that is using a type of marketing called educational direct response marketing. Now, what educational direct response marketing is, it's a process of creating and promoting educational content to your prospects that is designed for elevating you to expert status. All right, so we don't just want to put out any content. We want to make sure that we're putting out like books or white papers or seminar content. You want to add value in advance. So you want someone, when they read this, to really get value, because if they're downloading a white paper and it's boring as heck and they're going, oh my God, they can't even get through it, what makes you think that they're now going to want to talk to you on the phone? All right, so it's got to add value in advance. It's got to sell without appearing to sell. So I'm not talking about a brochure here. It's got to provide a non-threatening way for prospects to learn more. All right, so if it's, hey, we do backup solutions, here's our phone number, basically what you're saying is when you're ready to buy, call us. Now, that's okay if you get the lowest hanging fruit. But if you want to step a step further, to prospects who are kind of the shy, yes, they're just shopping, the nibblers and so forth, you've got to have educational content that they can get access to that doesn't require them to talk to a salesperson, which is a very intimidating, threatening thing. Because here's something else you guys got to realize. By the time you get that phone call, most of the time they're already somewhat pre-sold on buying from you. People in general, prospects in general, won't call you until they're almost ready to buy, which is why referrals are like your best source. Also gives you a powerful way to engage more new prospects who might not be actively looking for the services you sell. Again, I'll show you an example of what I mean by that. It's got to shape and set the buying criteria in the prospect's mind. It's got to differentiate you from competitors. It's got to pre-sell, pre-qualify them before they even talk to you. So if your marketing is working properly, the people you're talking to should be pre-sold and pre-qualified. If they're not, your marketing is ineffective. I'm going to tell you that. I know that for a fact. And it's also got to inject a tremendous amount of efficiency into the sales process. And if your marketing does what I'm talking about here, adding value in advance, automated, providing a non-threatening way for people to get more information, shaping the buying decision, building the pain, building the disturbance, if you will, in that prospect, you're going to see a tremendous amount of efficiency in sales closing a lot faster. So there's 3 keys to building this. Please jot these down. I know that many of you are kind of looking at, the notes and whatnot, so you jot this down. Component number one in this educational direct response marketing system is lead generation ads. Now, this could be various media. And these ads, I'm using the word ads, quote unquote, because when I say it could be emails, it could be Google AdWords, it could be direct mail, it could be telemarketing. What they're done is they're designed to attract high probability prospects who have some interest in, and I should say cloud backup. I'm sorry, it says cloud computing, but some kind of interest there. Number two, it has to offer some sort of lead generation magnet. So I call that like free content. It can be a report, a white paper, video, audio, and I'm going to show you examples of this real quick. And it's got to have an offer and a follow-up system to give away some sort of an assessment, audit, health check, or consultation to get you in the door and facilitate the sale. Now, let me show you what that is specifically. This is an example of an educational direct response marketing campaign that does all of those three things. Now, this happens to be a website, and I just put myself here because this is a template that we give our clients. But so let's suppose that we had this up on a website, and we were driving traffic here from Google. Let's say we're people who were typing in off-site backup or backup solutions or whatever, and they were searching for that. They click on your ad, and they go here, and they see this, okay? Free business advisory guide, 12 little-known facts every business owner must know about data backup, security, and disaster recovery. If you're a business owner relying on tape drives, external hard drives, or USB devices to back up your data, then it's critical for you to get and read this free, informative white paper. You'll learn what most IT consultants don't know or won't tell you about making sure your company's critical data is safe from loss, corruption, cyber criminals, natural disasters, and employee sabotage. In addition to, and it goes on to sell the report. Now, what you can see here is that instantly they could download this. They don't have to talk to a salesperson, and it generates a lead for us. Okay? So you'll see there's a very powerful headline. We're flagging who we want we're flagging who we want to respond, business owners. Now, if you were selling to the medical niche, we've done this. We'd say, free medical advisory guide, 12 little-known facts every medical office must know. So, we can tweak this for any kind of niche. This is a very generic one, but the headline, very powerful. We sell the freebie. We don't just say, oh, here's a white paper you can download. You got to sell the freebie as though you're charging money for it. And this is a key. A lot of people make a mistake with it. They go, oh, we've tried we've tried webinars, we've tried free reports. Yeah, we don't really get anything off of it. That's because they're not using it properly. If I use a hammer to try and let's say bake a cake, well, it's not that the hammer is wrong. It's just the wrong tool to use when you're using it improperly. Of course you're not going to get the same results. You'll see there's a video. Now, in this case, I'm not saying you have to use a video on every single website, but in this case, in this marketing campaign that I've given my clients, this works really well. It's just a video we shoot of them talking about who they are and the free report, sort of an intro video. The opt-in is clearly visible, and there's a promise of instant access, so they don't have to call a salesperson to get this. Okay, this is a very effective website. Now, we could turn this into a postcard. We could turn this into a trade show event offer. I mean, there's a lot of ways we can use this. I'm just using this as an example. Now, the free report information component of this is really critical because, like I said, it's got to establish you as an authority and an expert on the subject. So it should be written by you, not some other industry white paper written by some other expert. That makes them the expert. So it should be written by you. It should educate the prospect about their options and what to look for in a backup solution, why they need it, why you're recommending what you're doing. It should answer frequently asked questions like, well, what should backup cost me? Or why can't I use carbonite? So if you have objections that you hear all the time, put them as a question in your frequently asked questions part of your report, and you've done it. Now, and by the way, guys, I'm using this report as an example. This could be worked into a webinar. This could be turned into a video. There's a lot of ways to use this content. I'm just using this for example purposes. It also should overcome objections. It should provide real case studies of your clients, testimonials from your clients to validate the claims you're making. It should provide a non-threatening way for the prospect to get more information from you, obviously, and offer a next step of a disaster recovery audit. So in most cases, what we're doing when we do these kinds of educational direct response ads with these three components that we talked about is that we're using it, the webinar, the free report, and then offering some kind of on-site visit that we don't call a sales call because nobody wants a free sales call, right? So what we do is we offer some sort of we're going to come in and do an assessment of your backup, and this is what we're going to be able to tell you. We're going to give you a report of findings. We're going to validate if all your data really, truly is being backed up or not, and how fast could you really genuinely recover in case of an emergency or an accident or a disaster or something like that. Now, see, that has value, and most of you are kind of doing that anyway in your sales calls, but you're calling it a sales call so nobody wants it, okay? So if the report builds the value, it answers the questions, and positions you, now your job as a quote-unquote salesperson is infinitely easier. Now, before I move on, Neil, is there any other questions that came in I need to address?
I think there was something here, Robin, about how would they use testimonials, and I'm not sure if that's coming up, but that was one of the questions we had from the audience as well.
Well, I would use them everywhere. I'd use them on the landing page that I showed you a minute ago. I would use them in the free report with a title over it saying, you know, here's why clients use our backup solution. You could weave them into the report and saying, you know, here's 3 case studies of, let's say you're in the medical niche. I've got a client that does nonprofits. I've got clients that specialize in medical. And what we can do is we can take case studies, which are really kind of glorified testimonials, and we use them to educate. We use them to point out what the situation was, what their fear was, what they were using before, what we put in place, and how we recovered it. So, you know, you really need to use testimonials everywhere because people in general do not believe marketers or salespeople. And all of you are marketers or salespeople. I know you might think, oh, no, Robin, I'm a technician. I'm not a marketer or salesperson. Well, guess what? When you signed up to be an entrepreneur, you signed up as a salesperson, all right? And you might be a crappy one, but you are a marketer or salesperson, and nobody believes you. So your testimonials are key because they validate what you're saying is true. All right, let me move on. And again, guys, if you have questions, please type them in. I've got Neil monitoring it. You can wear me out. Example number 2 of an educational direct response marketing system. And this one really is an absolute surefire winner when it comes to selling backup disaster recovery, and that is seminar marketing. Now, when I say seminars, hang with me, folks, because what I mean by that is I mean webinars and I mean live lunch and learns. I've got clients that do both, and there's reasons to do both, and you should do both. But I'm just going to say seminar marketing in general for this conversation we're about to have, because let me tell you why seminars work so well. Okay, number 1, they provide really valuable content that actually helps your prospects and clients make better decisions, and ultimately it's going to make it easier for you to sell. And again, that's if it's done properly. It shouldn't just be a big, here's who we are and here's what our solution does, because that bores people. You got to give them some real meat in the presentation, some really good content. It also positions you as the go-to expert instead of just the computer guy. So if you're willing to do webinars and even stand up in front of a room of people, as terrifying as that may seem to some of you, you instantly get elevated to expert status. It injects a massive amount of efficiency into the sales process because we have clients right now that do webinars and seminars, and they're getting 30 people, 50 people into a room. Now think about it. If they had to call on, set appointments with, and talk to all those people individually, I mean, it would take a month to do that. We hold a seminar, we can knock it out in one afternoon. Okay? So a massive amount of efficiency. It's an excellent way to get JV partners, and what I mean by JV is joint venture or strategic partners to promote you, and I'm going to show you how in a minute here in a case study. And you could do webinars really inexpensively and very easy if you're not good in front of a room. I mean, webinars, there's no reason that you can't do a webinar today. Now, there's 3 keys to making these any kind of webinar or seminar work. And the first one is you got to fill the room with quality prospects, obviously. You got to market, promote the event. You got to deliver an entertaining or interesting, at least a persuasive presentation. Now, when I say persuasive, what you're doing is you're educating clients to your point of view. Now, if your point of view is that a client should have nothing less than some sort of BDR solution where there's an on-site and a cloud component that's completely virtualized that you could turn over in a minute to get them back up and running in the event of a disaster. What you're doing in your presentation is you're building that argument, just like an attorney would stand in front of a jury and they would make that argument to the jury to convince them to your point of view. So that's what I mean by it has to be persuasive. You just don't want to puke a bunch of junk up on them about here's different backups and stuff. You want to really educate them about the pros and cons of each and say, look, if being down for 7 days is not a big deal, then maybe you do want to go to Carbonite. But if you've got mission-critical applications and data and you can't be down, or there's certain PCs or certain people who can't be down for more than 24 hours or less, here's what we need to do. We need to put a plan in place for that. And I don't know of many businesses that could be down for 7 days. I mean, really honestly. And then third, you're going to craft an offer at the end to get people to want to do business with you. And I'm not saying you stand there and you sell, although some of my clients do, and there's nothing wrong with that. But at the end, you might offer, hey, let me come out to your office. Let's evaluate your backup disaster recovery plan. Let's see where you are. Let's shoot holes in it. That way, at least we can do it now. You get a third-party, honest evaluation, and we'll put together a plan for you on how you can better secure and back up your environment so you don't have those unpleasant surprises that you're just dealing with the unknown right now. And that offer is phenomenal, and people appreciate that when you offer that at the end. So let's break it down. How do you fill the room, okay? First of all, number one, you need a good topic or title. That is going to be one of the single most important elements to getting people to your event. I recommend that you don't use something like going to the cloud, or it looks cloudy, or some kind of clever thing that means nothing, all right? It's got to have some meat to it from the standpoint of what your customers want to know. And I'll show you an example of this in a minute, so hang with me. It's got to be targeted to a really good quality list of prospects. And if you don't have a big house list of prospects and clients, you can get this promoted through a joint venture partner, and I'll show you how in the next case study. You need a correctly designed web registration page. I'm going to show you that in a minute. You need really good marketing communications to promote the event, and email can be enough, but you want to use direct mail and telemarketing if you have it available to you, because it will definitely increase. It could even double or triple the response you're getting, and you need a process for getting people to show up. So let me show you an example. This is an example of a very highly effective seminar registration page. Now, this is a physical seminar, hence you're seeing the map down there. Now, if this was a webinar, we wouldn't need that. But you'll see that the title is very important. So the title is what every business owner must have in place now to guarantee a fast, easy, painless recovery of their data after disaster. See, that's a business owner-friendly title. When, session time, where it is. During the session, you're going to learn who you are as a presenter, and you could just see that this is. I'm telling you, if you're doing any kind of seminar, guys, use this model. Works like a charm every single time. Now, again, I'll point out, really good headline. That's key. You're going to notice right below the headline, you always want to have where and when, because that's the first questions people want to know, right? So have that right underneath that headline, very prominent. You want to make sure you have what are called teaser bullets. So you don't just say, we're going to talk about backup, because nobody cares about that. But, for example, one of these bullets, the only surefire way to know if your data is being backed up, almost 99% of the business owners never perform this simple check. Now, it's a teaser because it's just like the news at 5 o'clock. They kind of drop a little teaser on you and make you want to go and find out what it is, right? That's highly effective for getting people to your webinar or to your seminar. So you want to have those bullets. You want to make sure the registration form is above the fold. When I mean above the fold, they shouldn't have to click on anything or scroll down to get it. Obviously, you're going to have your bio up there. I'm just showing you this isn't my example. Also, down here, who should attend? C-level executives and managers who want to make, blah, blah, blah. Or whatever your niche is. This is just a generic template I'm showing you as an example. You would customize this to your niche and your target market, but the elements would all still be the same, okay? Now, let's move on. So marketing your events. Personalized text emails will almost always outperform the same message than if you put it into an HTML template. And if you don't believe me, test it. I mean, over and over again, I have had clients where I finally got through their thick skull to do text emails instead of HTML, and the response always goes up. It often triples or quadruples. I mean, that kind of difference. So this is an example, simple text, subject lines, please be my VIP guest. Hey, Bob, I want you to be my VIP guest for an upcoming Lunch and Learn seminar. There's the title. Here's the full details on how to register. During that event, I'm going to cover, you do the bullets. If you want to make sure you could be up and running again fast, you need to be here. There's the link again. The event is free, but you must register, and that's it. That's a highly effective seminar email. It doesn't have to be clever or cute or fancy, but you'll notice it is personalized. It is text. The emails that go out, you should consist of at least 2 emails a week starting maybe 3 weeks out from your event. Webinars you can promote 7 to 10 days in advance. Very, very easy. And in the final 7 days before an event, and I'm talking about physical event because they're a little bit harder to get people to show up to, you send 3 emails out as a reminder, 7 days out, 4 days out, and 24 hours out before your event. Now, if you're using a GoToWebinar like what we're using, they automatically send out the reminders for you, but you want to make sure you have reminders if you want people to actually show up. Also, direct mail, as you can see from this example I'm showing you, it's a play off of the exact same website. So, free executive seminar, title of it, where, when, date, location, little bit of copy in the opening when it comes to protecting your company's data. The bullets are going to be the same and they're going to match. This is actually a 2-page letter. And, again, you want to have as many media as possible when you're marketing these events. Neil, let me check in with you real quick. Questions? I haven't been able to. I'm looking.
Actually, Robin, I actually had a statement. You and I actually have a joint customer who, signed up with Intronis and had started using your webinars and also the BDR in a box, which I know we'll talk about, and was hesitant to do this and do the seminar. So he actually linked up with a payroll company so he could get a list of small businesses, and they went through the process. It took them a couple of months to get their first one going, 2 months or so, but they literally closed 2 BDR deals 4 days after the seminar. He was ecstatic. I mean, he was the happiest guy on the phone telling me how it worked, how Robin was right. It was truly, you can't ask for a better testimonial than that. And, his block plan with us is still growing and his business is growing. So it was a pretty cool story.
Yeah, because one of the questions I'm seeing here from Papa Fall, I think is how I'm saying your name, is I'm brand new, so where do I get started with this? Here's what I do, and I'm going to show you this case study here. What if you don't have a big list? What if you're brand new, or you just don't have a list of new prospects to market to? So here's what you do. There's a client of mine, John Mataz, the SNC Squared. Okay, now John did one BDR seminar, and from that, he generated $236,000 in sales from one. Now, he's an MSP in Joplin, Missouri. Some of you might remember that Joplin got hit by a massive F5 tornado about 2 years ago, and that tornado wiped out John's office. Literally, it was a pile of rubble. He was actually in Computer Reseller News. A lot of industry publications wrote about John. So he survived that. So he was actually up and running, and after that happened, he says, I really got to put a focus on backup disaster recovery. But he wanted to focus on the medical niche because he noticed that when this disaster hit, there was a lot of medical offices that just could not be up and running because their buildings were literally flattened, and they didn't have access to patient data, which was horrible. Think about it. They're trying to treat patients, and they don't know what their allergies are. They don't know what their medical history is, and they can't get access to it. So that's why he said, I really want to focus on the medical niche. So he said, we decided, I said, let's hold a Lunch and Learn seminar on this, and we're going to reach out to the medical community. So what we did is we approached an industry association called the Medical Group Management Association. Now, this association is all the doctors in the area belong to it, and their goal is to provide education, research, and resources to medical practice. And, of course, their goal is they want more new members. That's it. That's what they want. So we offered to do a Lunch and Learn on security and backups and pay their members membership fees to the Medical Group Management Association if they attended the workshop. So literally it was like, come to this workshop being sponsored by the MGMA, and we will pay for your membership. Now, I think the membership was really cheap. It was like maybe $90 a year or something like that. So for $90, he's getting these qualified prospects in the room. The MGMA said, hey, hell yeah, we want to do that. And they sent email invites to every doctor's office within a 40-mile radius. There's approximately 300. They promoted the entire event for him for free. Now, when I say for free, he was paying for their membership if they showed up. So that was his kind of fee, if you will. But think about this. He didn't have any list. He didn't have any relationship with medical doctors in his office or medical practices in his area. And here he had a really good JV partner, strategic joint venture partner, who was promoting this for free. So long story short, this is the website he sent them to. So, as you can see, very similar to what we did. We did email, we did direct mail, all the same stuff that you've seen, and we had 19 people attend. Now, these were brand new medical office doctors and office managers that he had never done business with before. Think about that. If you could get in a room and instantly get 19 prospects in front of you, think about most MSPs don't get 19 prospects a year. The average is they get 1 to 2 leads a month. So here he was, 19 qualified prospects he's able to do a presentation to. Right off the bat, 3 bought his managed firewall solution, which represented about $14,000, and then 2 upgraded to bigger managed services agreements for $237,000 in sales. That is over the 3-year term. And, of course, that was just what we got right off the beginning, and he had an awesome partnership now for future opportunities, plus those other prospects he's continued to market to them, and he has since then become the 800-pound gorilla in his market for selling backup disaster recovery solutions. And I've done this kind of model over and over again. Like, Neil, you're saying a payroll company. I've seen this done with other strategic partners such as software companies like who sell line of business applications, with attorneys, with insurance agents. The opportunities are endless in here. And the good thing is if you find a good JV partner, they'll promote it to their list, and it's the best way to get new prospects at very little to no cost whatsoever. Okay? Now, I'll show you this wasn't just a fluke. Linda Lynch, KI Technology, she's out in the Lansing, Michigan, like Detroit area. She used just the same thing, one Lunch and Learn seminar on backup, $36,750 in new sales from that one event. Randy Hall, Worldland Technologies, he's in Medina, Ohio. I mean, Medina's not a big town, right? $223,500 in BDR sales, one Lunch and Learn seminar. He was able to do that. Now, we're running close to time, so I want to make sure we have time for Q&A, but there's a couple other things you're going to need if you're going to go out there for marketing BDR. And one of them is you got to know how to profile, target, and get the attention of your ideal client. You need to know how to differentiate yourself from the competition in a truthful and relevant way. I can't just give you your unique selling proposition. I don't know anything about you, so I can't just say, oh, here it is, because, obviously that defeats the purpose. You need to get a process for getting your current clients to see the value and say yes to your recommended backup, and any of the solutions you sell for that matter. You need a system for overcoming the price boogeyman that you know is going to come up. So you got to kill that monster in the sales process before it even comes up. You need a way to differentiate yourself from all the other competitors in your marketplace, and again, in a relevant and truthful way. And if you're going to do webinars and seminars, you have to know how to build that presentation, overcome objections. So I apologize, guys. I couldn't cover all of this in a 90-minute webinar. I'm already crunching to get these things in here. But so I'm just letting you know you got to think about these things as you're going to market. And the reality is there's a great big problem with everything we've done here today. And, I know I'm running short on time, but even if I had, another hour or so, I wouldn't be able to solve it. And the problem is that most of you have learned some good ideas and some good information. I hope you guys have taken notes, maybe some copious ones. But the problem is those notes are going to end up in what I call your good idea graveyard. And I call it the procrastinator's, graveyard, if you will. It's where all those great money-making ideas go to die. And that's because there are 3 obstacles standing in your way of getting a good marketing plan in place. And if you don't overcome these, you're not going to get that done. First obstacle is most of you aren't experienced marketers, and therefore you don't know how to write effective marketing messages. So if I said, hey, write an email for a BDR seminar or a direct mail piece or even a website, you're going to cringe. I mean, it's going to take you hours, and even then you're not going to get it right because it takes years to know how to write really effective marketing communications. Most of you do not have a background in marketing, and so you need a process or a coach or somebody to help you there. And the third problem is you don't have a lot of money or time to figure this out. So I've got a recommendation. I'm going to make this really, really quick. And this recommendation is for those of you who might like to work with me directly in my team in helping you to put together these marketing campaigns and implementing this in your business. So I'm going to go over this recommendation really quick, and then I will take any of your questions. I'll stay on for as long as you like. Now, this recommendation is the Backup Disaster Recovery Kit in a Box. Now, this is something I've done in conjunction with Intronis, although, the backup and the way we teach you how to do the marketing is really focused on how to get more clients, how to overcome the price objection, how to find lists and generate leads when you don't have a lot of money and time. So it takes a lot of guesswork out of marketing and selling backup. And inside is a 3-step blueprint for building a marketing system that will make your target market think of you first and think of you as the best choice for all IT services, not just backup, regardless of what your price is. There are literally cut and paste direct mail, email, sales scripts, other marketing templates that are proven winners. These aren't things that I just said, hey, let me piece this together. I mean, these are campaigns that I have tested in the real world where clients eat their young, like real-world scenarios to help get those ideal prospects to buy your BDR and outsource their IT solutions to you. There's also, I call it the 2-hour Marketing Miracle Lunch and Learn Seminar. That's the same seminar John used, Randy Hall used, Linda Lynch used, the people you saw to generate $30,000 to as much as $230,000 in new sales in one seminar. And you can use it as a webinar, too. It's not like you have to do a seminar. But that alone is worth just enrolling in the program. We also have an industry research report that will show you what other MSPs are charging for backup solutions, what they're including, so you can kind of see where you stand in comparison to your peers. We've got a word-for-word telemarketing script that will get you into C-level decision makers faster than anything you've ever tried before. We've got an entire postcard series that and newsletter article library to overcome common objections and really kind of like drip marketing. So once you get those prospects, you can continue to market to them and remind them of the importance of backing up their data so that way you can get those unconverted prospects to buy. It's very easy. And, of course, fill-in-the-blank white paper templates like the one I showed you that you can use as lead generation bait. You can use it on your website to gather email addresses. You can hand it out at trade shows. You can use it as pre-sales meeting collateral. So there's a number of ways you can use that as well. There's also, this is really, really powerful, there's a letter I have called the Decline of Service Letter, and it's the single most powerful tool I have for give even the most stubborn penny-pinching clients to take your advice, even when they say, I don't want your solution, I'm going to decline this. I'm telling you, use this, you will turn them around, this one simple sheet of paper. There's also a simple, non-offensive process for asking for referrals that will get you introduced into high-quality prospects from existing customers. There's a really powerful campaign in there that will get other non-competitive companies and associations to endorse you, just like what John did. I give you a campaign that how to approach them, how to ask for that, which, again, is like referrals on steroids, and the right way to talk to a client about BDR services that will get them to sign on the spot. Now, another thing is, since Intronis is sponsoring this, I know a lot of you hate your website. So another product I'm going to give you as a bonus is what I call the MSP Online Marketing Toolkit. So if you've ever wondered, like, how do you really design your site to get people to call you, or the right way to do email marketing, this is going to give you that to you. Now, it's not like done-for-you websites, but it will give you an education of what your website should look like, what it should do, how do you design it, so that you start getting the phone calls, just like Scott Spiro went from getting no calls to 5 leads a month off of his website alone. There's also a 3-month access to my member portal dashboard, and you can literally go up here and search on hundreds of marketing campaigns, templates, and this is shared member content as well. If you can see on the screenshot, I know it's kind of tiny, but this is in the shared member content area, and you can see other members post up their campaigns and the results. And the first one is a canvassing campaign of all things, and this got a total gross sales of $131,000. And all the templates and all the examples, you could click on that link. You could go there. You could download this. This is all shared by members. And you're going to get the results that clients like Howard Cunningham got. 22% response from one letter he sent out that's in this program that I'm going to give you. Or Linda Wagner with New Tech. One campaign, 50 leads. 50 leads. She sent out 300 letters to prospects and got 50 responses. Mark Marley, Network Computer Solutions, one email took him 15 minutes to compose. Sent it to 52 emails. He got 15 responses right away, sold for 3 more that are going to close. I think he closed them all. This is sort of a recent case study. But they were opportunities that were in his client base sitting right under his nose. So the, looks like this, I gave you a little overview here, but it looks like this got kind of messed up a little bit. But basically, let me kind of go over what you're getting. It's a $6,000 package. If you get the BDR in a box marketing system, the 2-hour marketing miracle seminar, you get the managed services online blueprint, you get 3 months access to our member portal, all the things that we talked about here. Now, if you want to get this, there's 3 easy payments you can make of $567, or if you want to pay in full, you can do that as well. And again, this is just because Intronis is sponsoring this. And so the first 5 who enroll, they're going to get a private one-on-one marketing strategy session with me personally. So I can't do it for everybody, but the first 5, you can ask me anything. Once you get the tools, that will help me to coach you. And you don't have to sign up right away. I mean, meaning, if you want to wait a couple of months after you've got the program, you've learned the material, you can schedule that at any time. I don't have a, you got to schedule it right away or you lose it. So the first 5 get that. There's also the money-back guarantee. Literally, guys, if you get this and you just feel it's not right for you for whatever reason, the guarantee is very straightforward. You get a full year, 365 days to check it out, use the campaigns, wear it out, use everything, and if it doesn't work for you for whatever reason, you can say, you just contact my office and say, hey, this isn't what I expected, and we'll refund every penny you paid. And I've been doing this for 10 years. I do not screw around with people on this. If you really feel like there's not value there, you get your money back. So there is absolutely no risk, and there's no small print at all. So that's just to cover you. And I'm just that confident that I know you're going to get value from this. I have no doubt that once you get enrolled and once you see what's in this program, you're going to love it, okay? The only caveat I have here is the program really isn't currently open to anyone. If you go to bdrinabox.com, you'll see the program is closed. So we've only opened it from now until Friday, which is August 9th, this Friday. And you go to bdrinabox.com/buy, and you can enroll there, and all the details of the offer, etc., are there. And also on that site, when you go there, you'll see that audio that I promised you earlier. So you don't have to opt in. You don't have to buy anything. That audio is just up there on that page, too, as well, if you want to just go download that and check it out. So that's all I had. Neil, do you want to go to questions now? Did you have any comments or questions?
Well, I can do all of them, Robin. So from a comment perspective, I think the proof is kind of in our customers that have used it and succeeded in the past. And I think the fact that you stand by it, I've never seen anyone say that they wanted their money back, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It works. There are some questions that have come in, at least on our product and Intronis specifically.
Okay.
We have logged these questions, and we will follow up after the fact. So keep your questions coming, and we will follow up. I also think, Robin, there was one question for you, and I know we covered it, but there was a question, so I feel hey, we can address it one more time. There was a question, what's the best way to get a prospect to show up to the seminar, and should they basically be warmed up prior, or should they be invited if they're cold leads? And can you kind of spend 10 seconds on that and kind of reiterate and go over that again?
Well, the best way to get a prospect who doesn't know you how to get to a seminar is you use JV partners, meaning you get somebody that they already know, like, and trust to invite them for you. Now, I use the example with John Matazzi with the MGMA. I mean, that is something that's what I would recommend, because if you go to a cold list, you're correct. I think it was Elias is who asked it. It's a
Yes.
good question. First of all, if they're cold prospects, you're not going to have their email address, because you shouldn't. And by the way, guys, I firmly do not recommend you go and buy email lists or get those scraped lists and stuff. They're garbage, number one. Number two, think about it. How much do you guys like getting spam from somebody you don't know and didn't ask information from? It's about as welcome as a flaming turd on your doorstep, all right? So you're trying to get a relationship with somebody, and you're already violating what they feel is their privacy. You're invading their inbox. That is not a good way to start a relationship. So what you do is you find somebody who already has that relationship with other business owners. And I've had people do seminars with the Chamber of Commerce, their local chamber. They offer to go in and say, hey, we'll do a really good seminar on backup disaster recovery, and the chamber will often say, yeah, let's do it. I've had clients get the Small Business Administration in their area to do this. And what's key about this is that when you go to the chamber, you're not going there saying, hey, will you promote my services, because then they'll send you to the advertising department. You're going and you're offering something of value. You're saying, look, I have a really good presentation on backup or security. I just did another whole seminar on cloud and mobile computing, and that thing is hot. And I'll tell you what, I'll even throw that in. If you guys want that, I'll even give you that whole how do you do that. And that includes the PowerPoint and all the marketing, and it's on cloud and mobile technology. And I've got clients that are literally, their Chamber of Commerce is asking them to come speak. Or they might partner with the backup stuff. They might partner with an insurance agent who does business liability insurance. I've got clients that are doing this with banks. Their local bank, they might do something. Now, the topic might be around security, but getting those JV partners is key. The second key is having a really good marketing website, so when they go to your website, they're like, wow, this is a seminar I want to go to. And the mistake most MSPs make is they make it too techy. No CEO is going to take time out of their day to watch a webinar or drive to an event where they don't feel like they're going to get something of value. If it's a techie webinar, they're not going to go. So if you're using all kinds of acronyms and you're not really selling to their specific language and pain point, then you're not going to get that person to show up. Anyway, did I answer that correctly, Neil? Do you feel like I did that?
I feel that you did, absolutely.
Okay. So what do you see? Next, there are many cloud. Okay, there's a couple there for you.
There's something for me after the fact. There's also a great question on the difference between backup and disaster recovery. Again, some of the programs that we have here that we've articulated kind of cover that, and that's really the service that you as an IT provider do provide, and you provide that education to the small business as far as what is that difference, the difference between a Carbonite and the services that you offer as a IT consultant that kind of knows their network. And we can go into that more as we follow up after the fact.
Yeah, I mean, even in the marketing, like the templates I give you, like the free report and the webinar content I give you, I mean, obviously you're going to change some of it based on the solution you're selling and the niche you're selling to, but most of the clients that I have that buy my marketing find that it's a really good soup starter, meaning most of it you're going to be able to use just cut and paste. So I wouldn't worry about that too much. The marketing, the way I teach you, because it's not just giving you the templates. I show you how to be really strategic and smart about your marketing and understand your market and your solution, and then craft the right type of presentation there. So that's really key. I'm not shoving any one solution down your throat saying you guys need to offer this or sell this. Quite the opposite. So most people find they can use my material as soup starter, and then I teach you sort of how to change your opinion on things, and you just write your opinion part. And most people find that part easy. The part they have a hard time is just kind of getting the context. But if I gave you something as soup starter, it's a lot easier to change something to your opinion than it is just to stare at a blank sheet of paper and try and type this up. Now, I saw another question about the kit coming in other languages like French or Spanish. I do not have it in other languages. We have clients in all different countries. We've got clients, obviously, Canada, Mexico. I've got somebody in Hong Kong, Australia, the UK, Barcelona. I mean, we have clients all over the world. Now, most of them are U.S.-based, but they buy the program, they just translate it into their language. I don't really think, that's a big deal. And again, you could get it, and if you just feel like it, you can't translate it or it's too much work, we'll just give you your money back. It's really not a big deal. Let's see here. Other questions. I see one from Jeff Garrison. Do you know if there are venture capitalists out there who focus on or open to DR organizations? I'm not sure what you're asking me there. Venture capital. Are you looking for venture capitalist money, or are you looking like for JV partners? I'm not sure. Neil, were there other questions I missed? I'm trying to go through here.
I think those are most of the questions, Robin, that we had gotten through. We also got confirmation that we did answer that seminar question, which was awesome.
Okay.
But I think we covered most of them. A lot of the other ones are very technical questions that Intronis can follow up on about the Intronis product.
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking through. I think we answered most of them, so I won't re-answer questions I think I already covered. I'm going through. There was a number of them. Let's see here. One of his clients to understand the difference between backup and disaster recovery, and that's correct. But it's tough to get them to buy in. Again, it's all in how you explain it and how you set up the difference. I mean, look, most of the clients that I work with, almost like I don't even know of a client that's ever come to me that knows marketing. I mean, I have to build the value. I have to explain it to them. I have to help them understand how it works. I come from a traditional agency background where we would, we work for bigger companies and whatnot. And our fees would normally range in the $50,000 range, and we weren't even delivering strategic services. We'd do graphic design, we would buy lists, we would organize stuff for our clients and put it together. But I had a really big contention point with the last company I worked with because I knew that they weren't really being strategic. The copy was awful. There weren't offers. I just knew the marketing wasn't going to work. And they told me to just shut up and keep selling. Like, they didn't care. And they were selling to clients that were grossly ignorant about marketing as well, which is kind of how I started my own company. I just got fed up with it. And, so when I go to somebody, like, I know most of you don't know this, but, I mean, when I offer to give you all the templates I'm giving you at the price point I'm giving you, it is insanely cheap. But I know most of you don't know that, and you won't believe me anyway because it's coming from me, and I'm trying to sell you something. I'm like the evil salesperson. But the reality is if you went to an agency and you needed the copy written and the strategy and the things, I mean, first of all, they're not even going to understand your business. Second of all, they're going to charge you $30,000 to $50,000. A good copywriter routinely will charge $20,000 to write what they call one package, which is basically one letter. I don't have to charge that because I've been doing this for a long time. I've structured my business the way I have. I know my market, meaning you guys aren't going to write me a check most of you aren't going to write me a check for $30,000 to $50,000. So, I mean, it's for me. Well, the reason I'm telling you this is it's no different for me selling marketing services to you guys than it is for selling backup disaster recovery to businesses who don't understand it. They don't know the difference. You have to learn how to communicate with them in the right way and help them understand what a good backup is and how do you the value. I mean, because again, an undisturbed prospect will never buy. So you've got to learn how in an elegant way to make them realize the danger that they're in. All right. Do we have any other questions that came in?
There was a couple that came in, Robin.
Okay.
Let's see. If you can extend for 1 minute, I understand the competition goes for price, although we should sell value and why us and differentiation among others. But still, I have a lot of responses like, well, right now I don't have anything, so I'd rather to at least subscribe. Oh, I was good till the end.
Okay, yeah, I think they're just trying to type fast there. I think another part of it
to a system. It was a second question, Robin. I see it was there. To a system like Carbonite and then C. Why should we bother trying to get them?
Yeah.
So if the customer.
Yeah,
I get it now.
A lot of it is who you target. I have people who come to me and they're like, I hate all my clients. I want all new ones. Help me get new ones. And I kind of laugh and I'm like, it's like they threw a party and invited a bunch of people that they hate to it. And now they're complaining about it. Well, you were the one who got them. So a big part of being smart about your marketing is what pond you're fishing in. You know what I mean? So maybe we didn't talk about this extensively enough, but marketing really is this. It's getting the right. First of all, it starts with who. And by the way, guys, if you're still hanging on with me, I know we're well over time, but we still got quite a few people on. I'll give you 7 words. If you will take this to heart, it will transform your business. It will, revolutionize the way you market yourself. You will find that you will never have to really struggle with marketing again. And there's just 7 words, and I want you to write these 7 words down. And that is start with the who, not the what. Start with the who, not the what. Most people, business owners, they create some kind of backup, and then they go, okay, who can we go sell this to? It's the wrong way to go about it. You want to find out who is your ideal slam dunk target market, your ideal customer. Then you've got to figure out what can I offer them that they're currently not getting, that'll solve a problem they have that nobody is solving for them, or however that is. And then you have the marketing message that brings that to them. But if you're targeting the wrong people, well, of course, you're going to get, it's all on how you position yourself. It's all on how you design your website. It's all on where you send your marketing and what the marketing says. You might attract the wrong prospect. So, it's kind of like people have always said, any PR is good PR or something like that. That's not true at all. You do marketing, and if you do it wrong, not only are you going to waste your money, but you risk attracting the wrong kind of people who take up your time, waste your time, won't buy no matter what you do. So, that's a big key in marketing as well. Let's see here. Greg Beery is saying, any examples, experience of using social media? Greg, we use social media. We have got clients that use it. You'll get a little bit from it, but I can tell you that the strategies like what I'm talking about here, like getting the right message on your website, strategic joint ventures, that kind of thing is going to give you a bigger bang and get you better results than social media. And I'm not saying that is not going to change. I'm talking about right now. You got to think about it this way. For what you're selling, if you're selling outsourced IT services, I'm assuming since you're on this webinar, you got to ask yourself, when a prospect is looking to buy that, are they going to Facebook? Are they going to Twitter to find that? Chances are they're not. You've got to, social media, I think it's fine that you have a presence. I think it's actually even good that you have a presence. But I think you want to have some realistic expectations that it's not necessarily going to bring you that flood of clients that you're looking for, particularly selling outsourced IT services. Actually, the only online media that email is the workhorse of online marketing, and Google AdWords. We've got a program that we do, and I'm telling you, when Google AdWords is done right, that thing can be a moneymaker, because what you're doing is you're essentially getting in front of prospects who are already searching for you. You're getting them when they are looking for your services, and you're getting in front of them then. Neil, what else did I miss?
I think that pretty much covers them all, Robin.
Okay. Papa's asking, I love that name, Papa, would you suggest walking to talk to clients in their business location? Well, sure. Like, I don't know if he means canvassing or going out on client appointments. Absolutely. And Peter saying, tweet, your entire business is at risk. Click here to find out more. Possibly. I'm not saying you could. I'm not saying it won't ever bring you clients. And I'll look at it more this way. It's like, even for us, we don't get our best clients. The marketing, we do a lot of different marketing. Our best clients, slam dunk ones, the ones that pay the most, that stay the longest, that we can do the best work for, they're typically not coming from social media. Typically, all right? Now, we still have a social media presence because people think because we're a marketing company, if we didn't have a Facebook fan page, we're somehow dumb, which really the ignorance is on their part, right? So we have it just because it's an expected thing. We put the effort behind what really brings in the sweet spot clients that we want, and we know what that is, and that's where we put our dollars, that's where we put our efforts. And we just have the social media out there like parsley on a plate, Okay, Neil, I think that's it, and I need to take a break here because I need a drink of water desperately and a snack. So, all right, guys, so bdrinabox.com/buy. You can go and get that free audio out there. You can enroll. I hope you do it. Love you guys for being on. Thank you for hanging out. If you have any other questions, you can contact my office. And, Neil, I guess I'll turn it back to you.
Awesome. Thanks, Robin. Thank you very much for everything, for your time today. Obviously, customers, thank you very much for attending. Current partners, prospects, we thank you today. And with that, we'll conclude the webinar. Thank you, everybody.